So at the end of our unit on learning about network methods, my class and I came up with a revision sheet together, and I wrote down what they put together as we went through it. I thought it would be useful to turn that into a video and share that. So this is about network methods. And we first of all split it up into four main parts. So there are three methods that you need to do for network methods for level 2 NCEA. And then we had a fourth one, which was about terms that we might need to know about. So we'll start with the terms. And these were things like what is a node and what is a vertex. So you can see we've done a little diagram over here at the top. And the nodes are the places. So for example, like places on your map, they're the points of interest that you want to be able to join up. So these are called nodes. Sometimes they're called a vertex, or vertices is the plural. The lines between those nodes, they're the edges, and if they have a number on them, they're called the weights. So the weight of each edge gets put in the middle. Now these blue numbers that we've put on each node, that is counting up the degree or the order of each node. And that means the number of paths that are at that node. So how many end points go into or out of that node. So for example, this one that's got a 2 on it, that's because it's got 2 end points at that node. Then we moved on and we looked at the next kind of skill that you'd actually have to do something with, and that is traversability. Now, traversability is trying to figure out if there is a path or possibly a circuit that would use all of the edges only once. So it goes over every single edge on your network and it doesn't repeat any. And the way to know that a network is traversable is if it has 0 or 2 odd nodes. Now, it's really important that when you're justifying your decisions about whether something is traversable and whether it's possible to do that type of path or circuit, then you have to make this statement about it having 0 or 2 odd nodes for it to be traversable. You've got to make sure you include that. Now, what do we mean by it being an odd node? If we go back to this idea over here of degree and order, that's what we mean by it being odd or even. So counting up how many edge pieces we have with going into or out of a node, that gives us the order. So on this little one that we've taken as a portion of a network diagram, we don't know where those lines go off to, but this particular node has an order or degree of 3, and because that 3 is an odd number, we call it an odd node. So if there are 0 or exactly 2 odd nodes, then it's traversable, and all other situations mean it's not traversable. It means that we can't do one of those types of paths that uses every edge exactly once. From there, we take a look at minimum spanning tree. So this is our next skill that we need to do. The minimum spanning tree is the tree that you can make so that all of the nodes get included on that tree in the smallest total possible way, and there are no circuits. So what we do is we add the smallest edges unless it makes a circuit. And you probably want to do a little diagram to say what we're talking about here. So maybe I'm adding those in, and the first smallest one is that one, and then maybe the next smallest one is that one, and then maybe the next smallest one is actually this one, but I can't add that one in because it would make a circuit. So then I pick the next smallest one, and the next smallest one, maybe it's that one. I'm not going to use that one because again it would make a circuit. So then I pick the next smallest one, and now all of my nodes are connected in, and I would find the total. And when we're talking about total, we're talking about the total weight of those edges. Now that if we're looking for a minimum spanning tree, we want that to be the smallest. Occasionally you might get situations where you actually want a maximum spanning tree. So you just do that whole thing in reverse. Instead of looking for the smallest edge and adding them, you would look for the largest edge and add them until you've got everything connected with no circuits. And then finally, we've got shortest path. So this is the least weight to get from A to Z, or whatever node it is you're going from and to, in the shortest possible way. Now, the simplest way to do this is to look for a minimum of 3 sensible paths, and you might actually need to show more just to be certain that you've picked the smallest one, and show your routes along those three paths that you think could be the smallest, work out how much they add up to, and then pick the smallest one. So on this one, we're just making up some examples here, but we would pick that the 12 would be our shortest path. So we'd go A, B, C to Z as our shortest path. The other option you have is to use Dijkstra's algorithm, which just takes a little bit of careful thinking about. It's not just kind of going for it with trial and error like with the one we just did, but actually logically working through to figure out the shortest path. And you can look up a video for that on my channel if you'd like a reminder of how to do that. So this was our very quick summary of the basics of what you need to be able to get achieved on an internal for network methods for NCEA Level 2.